After a layoff of some 70 years, for the third year in a row, the Louisville Cardinals are in Lexington to open the regular season against their intrastate rivals from the University of Kentucky. Now let's introduce the third member of our broadcast crew. Covering the sidelines for us this evening will be Pam Ward. Pam?
Thanks, Dave. And this place, almost 60,000 people are here. They'd all like to see one player, and he might not even get into the game. That's Kentucky freshman quarterback Tim Couch, the most recruited player in the year last year. He got recruits from places like Tennessee and Florida, turned it down so he could stay home and play at Kentucky. And when he played in tiny Hyden, Kentucky in high school, he set a slew of national records, but he's going to play for Bill Curry. The head coach says that he's not his quarterback right now. Billy Jack Haskins is the guy, at least for now. And oh yeah, Tim Couch can play a little basketball too. Rick Pitino would love to have him, but Tim Couch says for now he's a quarterback. Back to you, Dave.
Yes, he has come to the attention of Rick Pitino. He averaged at one point in his high school career 36 points per game, had a high of 60 points in one game. But for now, Todd, he says he's concentrating strictly on football.
Well, of course, one of the things that was pointed out, I thought, of interest in his bio was the fact that he played varsity basketball since the time he was a 7th grader. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Amazing. Kentucky won the toss and elected to defer, so Tobin Anderson will kick. Rico Clark and Donnell Gordon are deep for the Louisville Cardinals. There's Clark, senior from Decatur, Georgia. An aspect of the game that the Cardinals work very long and hard on. The special teams, they want to make some victories happen due to their special team excellence this year. And Kentucky hopes the Grim Reaper is symbolic of what they have in store for their cross-state rivals tonight from some 70 miles away. And into a slight breeze, the kick by Anderson gets us going. A one-hopper, Clark from the 6. Forward to about the 25-yard line and a 19-yard return for Clark. And the Cardinals will go to work on offense with Jason Payne, senior, getting his first collegiate start tonight out of Rome, Georgia. He backed up Marty Lowe the last 2 years. Behind him is Chris Redmond, who was the Parade National Player of the Year 2 years ago. Gordon will get some time at both fullback and tailback, but Frank Moreau will start in the tailback spot. Montano, 50 catches last year. He is the slower of the two, but quicker than a lot of people expect him to be. And Basetic at weak tackle, a transfer from Notre Dame, leads the blockers right away. Deep middle and incomplete. Intended for Robert Bates, who almost made the diving catch in Kentucky territory at the 47-yard line.
Lehman Boyd is a strong safety on that. He had man coverage, and that is a mismatch simply because of the fact that Bates is the fastest player for Louisville. A strong safety in that case, not normally on a wideout. Kentucky got a break there because of the poor throw on the part of Payne.
Already got their attention. Stretched the defense already. Offset eye on 2nd and 10. Bates set the block in motion. Gordon with the block for Moreau, who will manage about 4 yards and bring up 3rd down to set the Kentucky defense. Now Soupy led the SEC in sacks before he broke his arm in Game 4 last year. He returned briefly in the finale against Tennessee. Ali may be their biggest hitter, but Schellenberger was the leading tackler a year ago with 104. Boyd, according to Curry, absolutely pivotal to the success of the Wildcat defense this year at safety.
And once again, he's out in the slot. He's going to have to cover man here with the 3rd wide receiver.
And some movement in flags as Payne steps up and keeps shy of the first at the 34-yard line, but flags were all over the snap.
Well, it appeared the tight end move for Louisville, and that's unfortunate that Payne could not get the first down for Louisville, that is, because Kentucky now will be afforded the opportunity to receive this and force a 4th down. You saw right there Van Heil saying that he's going to refuse. And in that case, it was Mike Bogan, the tight end, who moved, who created the penalty.
Ron Cooper, 2nd-year head coach, 2nd youngest head coach in America. When John Blake got the job at Oklahoma, he took over the honors as the youngest, but Cooper at just 36 in his 3rd year as a head man after a couple in Eastern Michigan. Eagle Sanford deep, expected Jeremy Borseth.
Kentucky has to be careful here not to be offside.
And Borseth, Sanford back to his 22-yard line, where he gets a seam and turns the corner to midfield. Dragged down at last in Cardinal territory at the 47-yard line.
Well, you called it early on, Dave. The point is that Louisville is notorious for having their outstanding special teams coverage. Unfortunately, in this case, you've got a short punt. Sanford is able to get a run at it. You can see right there. And Louisville makes the mistake of breaking contain. They do not have the contain on the outside, and that enables Sanford to get across. Gets a nice block on the part of Keel Wilson. Gets across midfield. Excellent field position for the Wildcats.
So Billy Jack Haskins will open with 3 wideouts. Normally this is a 2 tight end offense. Raymond McClure on the lone setback. Off play action. The pass is incomplete. Intended for 19 Kevin Coleman as we set the Wildcat offense. With Haskins, the junior from Paducah, Kentucky. And Bill Curry says, really, I've got 2 local folk heroes. Haskins about as popular as Couch when he entered the program. McLaurin replaces Mo Williams, who set the school record last year, 1,600 yards on the ground. Isaac Curtis III is the son of the former Bengal wideout. And on second down, they do go to the more familiar 2 tight end set. As McLaurin dragged down, but gets away from McLeod before he's swarmed under near the 46-yard line for a big loss. Kendrick Golston was there to follow the initial hit by McLeod, and we set the Cardinal defense. Golston up front, 8 sacks to lead the Cardinals last year, first team All-Conference USA selection. McLeod, a Butkus Award candidate with defensive back speed, according to Cooper. Madison, 4th in the nation last year with 7 interceptions. If he gets 6 more this year, he will lead Louisville as their all-time leader in that category.
You mentioned great DNA. You saw John Fuqua, the strong safety there for Louisville. He is the son of John Frenchie Fuqua, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
3rd and call it about 15. This is Curtis, who gets only back to the original line of scrimmage before he's dragged down by Terry Rice Lockett.
And that's a great set of downs, Dave, for the Louisville defense. Great situation at the 47-yard line. You had the big punt return, got the 60,000 crowd behind you. And what do you get? You get 1 yard and 3 tries. Great job by the Cardinals.
Well, they could do very little with the great field position. Jimmy Carter looking to improve on very subpar numbers last year. 13-yard line where Clark makes the fair catch. 33 yards on the kick by Carter. Let's see the Cardinals from Lexington. Second possession for Jason Payne, and the Cardinals begins at their 13-yard line. Offset eye again, short drop to the side. A great stretching grab by Mikel Montano, who brought in 50 of those last year for about a 14-yard average. He chafes a little bit, Todd, at the label of possession receiver because he thinks it denotes a lack of speed, and he thinks he has just enough speed.
Well, I think one of the things there is the fact that you look at he only did get in the end zone 3 times with those 50 catches. Only the second receiver in Cardinal history to have caught 50, the other being a pretty good ball player by the name of Mark Clayton.
In a 5, Payne from the shotgun, same side, and the catch is made by Touche with a hit by Van Hiles. Catch by Touche, and that's his name. That's it. No last name. Not the name he was born with, but it's his name, and we may see more of him.
He opted to change his name because of his resemblance to the cartoon character Touche Turner.
Obviously. On 3rd and 1, Otis Floyd does not get the first down. Needed about 2 feet. And Jeff Tanner, 55, from left defensive tackle, plugging the gap along with Lamont Smith. Well, a strong stand by the Wildcat defense on, again, to kick it away is Borseth. Well, the 39-yard average, not that impressive in and of itself, but he doesn't allow many returns. The net is just 37 for him last year, and 18 kicks landed inside the opponent 20. This one drives Sanford back inside his 30. And again, he has room around the right corner. Cuts back. May go. Let in with a chance dragged down near the 5-yard line. John Fuqua prevents the touchdown.
Keo Wilson once again with the key block. And I can guarantee right here that Ron Cooper is going to have his men spend a lot of time in the film room, particularly this punt coverage. He breaks through the first wave, but there's nobody there. Watch number 1 come by and absolutely pummel the tight end. There he is. Sanford, it's a foot race between himself and Fuqua as he avoids the kicker. But Borses slows down Sanford just enough for Fuqua to get him down at the 9-yard line.
Keo Sanford has the Wildcats first and goal at the 8. And in short yardage situations, they'll go more with a 2-back set. So the fullback, Michael Woodfork, 43, is checked in to block for Raymond McLaurin. This is the Kentucky success last year inside the 20. 2 tight ends. Lone wideout is Norman Mason. Top of your screen. There's McLaurin. 2 and maybe 3 near the 5-yard line.
I really don't like this formation down here simply because of the fact that it's so obvious. You come in with 2 tights and 1 wides. Everybody on the planet knows you're going to run. And at midfield, it was obvious that they were not having that kind of success. I think that what Kentucky should do here maybe is go back to the 3-wide situation, spread some people out, and then take the opportunity to run, because here they're predictable.
They are also very young. Bill Curry in his 7th year, 22 wins, 45 losses. Some heat on him, obviously, with that many years in Lexington and that kind of record. But he says he's impervious to it. He's had heat on him ever since he was a 20th round pick by the Packers. This is McLaurin, straight up the middle, touchdown.
Take a look at the blocks of DeAnthony Honaker and Streck, who just open up a hole for McLaurin to plow through. Take a look at the hole he cuts back against the grain. Rico Clark is no match for the 220-pound McLaurin, who carries him into the end zone.
Haskins to hold, and Brian Johnson will attempt the extra point. 9 for 9 last year as a sophomore, and he hits this one, and it's 7-0. McLaurin helps Kentucky draw first blood.
The offensive line of Kentucky certainly asserted itself there. The left side, David Behringer, Jeremy Streck. And take a look at the block by Isaac Curtis right there, taking Golston out of the play, which enables McLaurin to get into the end zone. Very physical there on the part of Kentucky, something they did not show in that first series.
Anderson with the kick, and again Clark will return from the 5-yard line. Knifing in was 27 Sean Smith, just a 13-yard return by Clark. And Kentucky dominating the special team so far. That 61-yard return, by the way, by Sanford a moment ago. The longest return by a Wildcat since 1987, and the 14th longest punt return in their history.
I find it curious that last night when you and I were chatting with Coach Cooper, he was very adamant to the fact that they had really spent an awful lot of time on their special teams, and here this early in the game they have been completely outplayed.
He says 1 of every 6 snaps in the average game involves the kicking game. They do work on it, regardless of what we've seen so far tonight. Big trouble. Moreau falling forward across the 20, 22-yard line perhaps. Big back, 6'1", 225-pounder. Tackle made by Lehman Boyd, the strong safety.
I would anticipate more of a steady diet of this simply because of the fact that the Kentucky front 4 is not very big. Their biggest guy is right around 270 pounds, and even though that sounds large in real life, by football terms, that's not very large at all. This is where Louisville really needs to assert themselves.
Cardinal line goes 290, 295, 318. Moreau trying to get the corner turned and can't. Van Hiles up from the corner to force the rump. And here's 7-0 Wildcats. 3rd and 5 for the Cardinals. Heading to the midpoint of the first quarter at sold-out Commonwealth Stadium. 3rd and 5. 3 wideouts. Montano briefly in motion. Good protection to Payne. And Moreau open. Moreau instead turns into a quarterback. Payne wiped out by Boyd as the flags fly. He has the first down, and they'll tack on 15. Boyd didn't quite make the contact within the sideline.
Now, even though Jason Payne is a senior, here's the situation where he needs to be cognizant of the fact he needs to throw the ball to Moreau and let him run. Watch to the left of your screen as he rolls out. Moreau is going to end up throwing a block, but he was wide open in the flat. He tells him to go. Now he cuts upfield. The exuberance of youth has to give way to the diligence of experience. Even though he is a senior, this is his first start. He needs to go down, and that was awfully close there near the sidelines. I think that's a little bit ticky-tack. You've got to let that sort of thing go. It certainly wasn't intentional.
Big hit there by Boyd. Payne, if he had a constant criticism about his work backing up Marty Lowe the last couple of years, it was that sometimes they thought he might have some happy feet. Very mobile, but sometimes used that mobility when he should have done just as you said and found the open receiver.
Well, in that case, Moreau was about 5 yards in front of him, and certainly Moreau is a lot faster. You give him the ball and let him take his chances.
Referee tonight from the Big Ten, as is the rest of his crew, David Vitvogt.
During the run, holding on the defense, 10-yard penalty from the end of the run, dead ball, personal foul on the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
That's Tim Couch warming up. We expect to see him at some point. Hard to tell in talking with Bill Curry exactly when we'd see him, but he did indicate he'd see at least some action. You'd expect 3rd or 4th series at the latest, and then at that point he seemed to want to go on just how the game developed from that point on. If Haskins had the hot hand, and if it was a close game, you'd expect probably to see more Haskins than Couch in the second half.
This is very interesting. Evidently, the holding took place as well after the play. You can see why Curry is irritated. That ended up being basically about a 20-yard gain. They tacked on both penalties. Evidently, the holding must have occurred after the play because they wouldn't have done both. So
with that, the Cardinals set it up 1st and 10 in Kentucky territory at the 45-yard line. Otis Floyd, very talented backup to Moreau. At this point, he's the backup anyway. He missed all of last year with academic problems. But a great combination of size at 6'2", 210, and 4.3 speed. Very explosive. Cooper expects to use him quite a bit today.
Every time I listen to a coach tell me that, no, we want to get a lot of guys in there, we want to get everybody the opportunity to run, I say, who are you kidding? Teams don't go very far unless they have that one go-to guy. And I think that this first game is an opportunity for Coach Ron Cooper to discover which is the guy that's going to be his feature back throughout the season.
Well, both coaches need to figure that out because they both lost 1,000-yard rushers last year. Cardinals lost Calvin Arrington, 1,016 yards. Floyd weaving. Nice job of finding the open space and breaking tackles all in the same play. And he'll have a first down at the 32.
Most impressive part of that run was the stiff arm on cornerback Van Hiles, arguably one of the best players on Kentucky's defense. Play is designed to go between the tackles, and instead Floyd is able to cut to the outside and show not only some speed but some strength. Watch the right arm. Nothing inside. Now watch him cut outside. Hiles is up in the force. Watch the right hand. Pow! Down he goes. That was a good piece of stiff arm right there. The other thing impressive, nothing on his arms. You don't see that very much. You see his attack-a-bite glove, you see elbow pads, you see wristbands, nothing on that guy's arms.
8-yard pickup for the first. Moreau back in, dragged down with the first contact from Chris Ward, the defensive end, number 47.
Every down they're coming in with different substitutions. I have to think that even though, as we've mentioned, Payne is a senior, he hasn't played all that much. If that starts to be a bit of a distraction as opposed to getting some rhythm with one particular set.
Loss of 2, shotgun on 2nd and 12. And guns it into double coverage. Montano with a good start tonight. A couple of yards shy of the marker, but up to the 25-yard line where it'll be 3rd and short.
One of the reasons why he gets the reputation for being a possession receiver. Watch what he does, young receivers, to the right of your screen. Watch him come back for this football. He is even with the defenders. Now he comes back between the two blue shirts to make the catch. If he sits down and just waits for the ball, in this case, Deal Ali is going to bat it down, and it's not going to be a completion. Excellent job on the part of Montano coming back to the ball so they can set up 3rd and 2.
Gordon in motion, get to Moreau. At the 22, should have enough for the 1st down. Needed to get just inside the 23 and should have it. The tackle by Littleton Ward, the cornerback, and it is enough for the 1st.
There's a case of trusting the big body of Moreau. There's nobody that's going to be out on the corner. Take a look, he gets the block at the corner, and coming up to make the tackle is Littleton Ward, but they do not believe that Ward is going to stop Moreau from getting the 2 yards. In that case, they're absolutely right.
Gordon began his career at Kentucky, and he felt stuck behind Mo Williams, so he transferred and found himself last year at least kind of stuck behind Calvin Arrington, but he did some work at both the backfield and spots this year. Moreau coughs it up, and the Wildcats hop on it at the 20-yard line. Waiting to unpile it, but the Wildcats are already celebrating, and Littleton Ward hops off the bottom of the pile with the recovery.
This is the counter tray made famous by the Washington Redskins. You'll see the misdirection to the right, and the guards come back. It takes a look like they've got a pretty good-looking opportunity. Take up Moreau as he comes up, but he is stripped of the ball by Mike Schellenberger, their 100-tackle guy. Ward with the recovery. Kentucky up 7-7.
Ron Cooper just saw his offense cough up a great scoring opportunity, so they still trail 7-0.
Well, he needs to settle down and go with what brought him here, and that's been that running game. He needs to establish that. A quarterback who hasn't started a varsity game is not somebody who's going to get you down the field throwing.
Option for Haskins, left toss, and Ward forced out with a crowd of Cardinal defenders on that near sideline, headed by the cornerback Sam Madison.
Sam Madison.
That's not one that they're going to make a lot of money on, so to speak. Great pursuit on the part of that Louisville defense. Very speedy. The pride of that man right there. The point that I was trying to make is that a lot of times you can overcoach. And I think that Coach Cooper, with the multiple sets that he has, maybe needs to just settle down. Take a look at how young he is. 35 years of age. Very young staff, you can see right there. They relate very well to these college people, and it's clear that the Louisville people, particularly the players, really like that man.
No coach, all over to no man's land. May have been that Craig Yeast ran the wrong pattern. Flag is down. Yeast had run a go, number 3. Now they're saying it was intended for Kevin Colbin, but there was no Wildcat within 10 or 15 yards.
See some clapping on the part of Leland Taylor, which would seem to indicate that it's against Kentucky.
We said this entire officiating crew from the Big Ten. Offensive pass interference, the call.
Very strange. The flag came in quite late. Evidently a defensive back got pushed down just as the ball was thrown.
Pass interference, offense, half the distance to the goal line, repeat, 2nd down.
You saw on the sidelines, you saw Ron Cooper begging to have the loss of down. That's not going to happen unless, of course, it is an intentional grounding. But that's a difficult penalty for Kentucky because up to this point, with the exception, really, their longest play from scrimmage has been that 6-yard touchdown run.
That's right. MVP is Sanford for those 2 big punt returns. Norman Mason, 84, in for Coleman, who was guilty of the offensive pass interference, hooking the defender. And it's 2nd and 18. Tackles. And Ramon Bryan, outside backer, with a hit about the 18-yard line. first down marker, only back to the original line of scrimmage at the 22, and the first contact came from Terry Rice Lockett there.
But in fairness, this is the reason why we mentioned at the top why Billy Jack Haskins has the high completion percentage. He can dump and dink down the field, but when you're coming up 3rd and 16, Bill Curry is very cognizant of the limitations of his quarterback and knows that he's not going to get the ball downfield. They just do not want to turn it over at this point.
Jimmy Carter, up from Plains to Dunwoody, Georgia. And another roll wobbler. Clark from his 45. Had excellent special team work on both sides. A 33-yard kick, but it only comes back 6.
16 returning starters for Boston College. They could have a pretty good club.
Cardinals just past the midfield stripe. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first. 7-0 Kentucky lead. Payne, excellent play action. And all the time in the world at the right order, and he swarmed after a gain of just 1.
We mentioned Van Hiles, what an outstanding job he has done at corner. He did not buy into the play action fake at all. And he was with Bates man for man. Great coverage on the part of Kentucky's secondary. This was a position of concern for Bill Curry. You can see great play action fake, no pressure at all, but the coverage is outstanding. And once again, you see Payne starts to run. But he is pulverized once again by Schellenberg. There's Hiles doing the job thus far. You can see that helmet to protect him. He's had numerous concussions. Those who follow the NFL remember Mark Kelso in Buffalo in December.
Well, a sliding attempt that time, and a rare miss by Miguel Montano. And that one very catchable by Payne. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Well, we've complimented his ability to be the possession kind of guy. Watch at the end. If he slides and he's down, technically this could be a catch. Let's take a look here. There's the ball. He's down, but the ball just does come out. If for whatever reason, of course, in college football, he's automatically down once he hits the ground, but the ball did pop out, did call by the official.
It looked like he may have taken a glance at his feet to make sure they were in bounds and then lost eye contact with the ball. Thus the drop. 3rd and 8. Blitz comes. Short toss. Upended by Hiles. And off comes the bubble. You can see why his style of play, Todd, leads to, at times, some dangerous collisions.
That's a very cogent point. It's interesting to see right there that he led head first. Evidently, either he hasn't learned his lesson or he is absolutely fearless because he came up on a man who outweighs him by a good 40 pounds. Dropped him.
There's no more important lesson to learn in football, though, than to, as all the posters and all the locker rooms say, see what you hit. Do not hit anybody crown first. This kick very high.
That's a great fake.
Into the end zone for a 47-yard effort and a touchback. Bill Curry at 4-7 last year after a 3-3 start, 5 losses by 10 or fewer points. They led or were tied in the 4th quarter in 4 of those defeats, including the last one when they fell 34-31 to Tennessee. And you see the SEC East results from a year ago.
In that game, Billy Jack Haskins had a 40-plus yard run that must have been run back 100,000 times on Kentucky television.
If you're good, we might see that ourselves today. Good Lord. Long setback. Can't quite run out of the ankle tackle by Rico Clark, who nails him after a pickup of just a couple. Clark, who led the Cardinals secondary, 84 tackles a year ago, senior from Decatur, Georgia. Inside a minute 20 to go in the first quarter.
Pretty impressive, that number of tackles, only being 5'10", 178. You think in terms of free safeties, you think in terms of rangy guys, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 205, 210. Clark is not that, but once again, not unlike Van Hiles. He has no fear.
All 4 starters returned in their secondary. 77 career starts between them entering this game. Seven needed. Second down. Haskins off play action. Buried inside the 15 by Rice Lockett and Rondell Marsh. Backup defensive tackle. attempt by Keo Sanford. Even had he brought it in, he didn't have enough for the first down. 5 seconds remaining in the quarter.
But he had what he wanted. He had the zone coverage. He had the right read. He just didn't deliver the ball. Obviously a little bit affected by being sacked on the play before. And now, even though Louisville has struggled offensively, the second half of the first quarter, they're clearly winning the battle of field position.
Clark should again be able to turn it back over to his offense in Kentucky territory. He expects this Carter punt at his 46-yard line. And a big rush comes in to get it. Straight up in the air and out of bounds inside the 10. On the final play of the first quarter.
One of the reasons why Carter had only averaged 33 yards is he was trying to hurry these punts. This time, instead of going with the 2 steps, he went with 3, and he ends up paying for it. The man who makes the block, Tony Esters. Big turnover for the Cardinal.
We begin the second quarter at Commonwealth Stadium on a perfect night, by the way. Temperature in the low 70s, just a little breeze, and 59,000 or so. The top 2 crowds, by the way, in the history of this stadium occurred in the first 2 meetings in the renewal of the rivalry each of the last 2 years. And we expect to threaten that 59,000 plus mark tonight. Following the block punt by Louisville's Tony Esters. First and goal at the Wildcat 8-yard line as we begin the second quarter. Still haven't seen Chris Redmond, the redshirt freshman backup quarterback. The total yardage picture really negligible for both teams in the first quarter. The key plays for Kentucky, 2 big punt returns by Sanford. Moreau looks to turn the corner, can't, and is still out of bounds at the 5-yard line. He had a great job forcing the run by Boyd, who was joined by Tony Woods.
Take a look at the number of people that are in the face of the punter, Carter. The last 2 punts weren't terribly good, so this time he says, well, this time I'm really going to concentrate, take my time. Look at all the white shirts. In fact, look at Esters. It's not as if he blocks the punt. He literally just runs into the punter because he's there so quickly. If you actually would have laid out and blocked the punt, it would have rolled into the end zone, but he got there so quickly, he wasn't sure what to do. You could blame Jimmy Carter for that, except for the fact that it was complete jailbreak at the line of scrimmage.
And at the spot of the tackle, or near the spot of the tackle, the 10-yard line, the injured Cardinal. They can't quite pick up the first numeral, but I think it may be the running back, Frank Moreau, who paid a heavy price after being knocked out of bounds. It is Moreau being helped to his feet.
Tony Woods came up from the secondary and made a nice hit. The corners for Kentucky have been outstanding thus far in their run support. Something a lot of times you don't see at the collegiate level. You see a lot of guys that can cover, but not a lot of guys that can hit. Take a look at the end of the play. Watch number 29 come up and make the hit right there. He drops and he lands a little bit awkwardly. And of course, Schellenberger, it appeared, his helmet might have landed on the side of his knee.
Tony Woods is the man who made that contact, and so Otis Floyd checks in on second and goal from the 5. And it's Floyd right into the arms, the waiting arms of the outside backer, number 45, Lamont Smith.
I really don't like that play close to the goal line, and here's why. Obviously, the defensive line is going to try and get some penetration, get up front. When you go with the counter tray and try and go with the pull, there's a hesitation. Once this guy pulls, the guy who's in his spot is penetrated. Look at all the blue shirts that have crossed the line of scrimmage. You can see Lamont Smith makes the tackle, but Soupy, who is over the guard, is the one that gets the initial penetration.
As they check Frank Moreau, 3rd and goal, a little more than 4. With Gordon and Ivan Green, the running backs, and Bates in motion. Very good, great protection. Pulls off the clock, but only to the 3, where Schellenberger made the hit. Ivan Green, 6, redshirt freshman from Louisville, makes the catch. But the Cardinals will have to settle for 3, they hope.
Take a look at the left of your screen. You're going to see once again Donnell Gordon, number 22, is completely wide open. Watch him as he throws the ball. Gordon is here to the left of the screen. He throws back against the grain. He gets nailed at the 3. All he did was had to loop the ball out to Gordon. He could have walked in for the touchdown. Once again, the inexperience and pain costs him probably here 4 points.
So to attempt a 20-yarder is David Akers, who drives it straight through. Sweet for Akers, who hails from Lexington. He has the Cardinals on the board early in the second. Seven to 3 Wildcats with 12:53 to go in the first half. Let's get an update on the Moreau's condition from Pam Ward.
All right, Dave, not good news for the Louisville Cardinals. Moreau has twisted his knee, his right knee. The trainer says it's an MCL twist, a strain, and he will not come back. He's out for the game.
That is very bad news for them and for Moreau, who's waiting for this opportunity. The second leading rusher behind Arrington last year. 416 yards, all in the final 5 games. He's looking to become the first Kentucky product to lead the Cardinals in rushing since Carwell Gardner did it in 1989. Very deep kick. Roderick Sanford 6 yards deep. Wildcats 7 to 3 here. 10 to 20. Haskins has seen all the action so far. Quarterback into the option pitch. Needed a block from number 12, the true freshman wideout at 5'10", 155, Quentin McCord.
And Sam Madison, who is known for his interceptions last year with 7, first-team All-American, shows that he too can make the tackle. He takes on the block and still makes the tackle outside, holding it to a 3-yard gain. There's a guy, interesting statistic with regards to Madison. You see the passes defense. In addition to his fumble recoveries, he had 2 forced fumbles, which means in total he had 12. He was responsible for 12 turnovers. That's the highest of any individual in the nation last year. It's very
amazing.
Impressive. It really is.
Cardinal defense led the nation together. 41 turnovers forced, and they almost get this one. On the tip drill, Rico Clark saw that one come perilously close following the deflection by Tyrus McLeod, the middle linebacker.
McLeod is going to be a Butkus finalist this year. We documented the number of tackles that he had. He is only going to augment his reputation if he can cover like that. That's difficult for a middle linebacker to get back in that kind of deep zone coverage and take the ball away from a fleet receiver like that. Excellent bit of coverage by McLeod.
He can become just the 3rd Cardinal to lead them in tackles 3 straight years. Mark Sander did it, and ESPN's own Tom Jackson, the last to do it. 3rd and 7. And the Wildcats with a timeout. Just before the play clock was down to nothing. 12:06 to go in the first half in Lexington.
Take a look at the end of the play here. Billy Jack Haskins, as he delivers the ball, watch his right hand. It ends up hitting the forearm of Rondell Marsh. You can see he grabs his hand in obvious pain. But since he does not want to be the Wally Pipp of college football, he decides that he's going to stay in.
So 3rd and 7. And wrapped up and dropped. The sack comes from 95, Rondell Marsh. One of many Cardinal recruits from Detroit. Ron Cooper really did his homework when he was the head coach at Eastern Michigan, because he has kept the recruiting pipelines open.
Well, you saw last time he was in his face the play before. This time he gets right around the block of David Behringer and is able to drop the quarterback. And Kentucky's offense, in a word, is anemic.
Well, last time we saw Jimmy Carter, he was getting snowed under and had one blocked, leading to the Cardinal field goal. And he's punted just about from the same spot every time. Barely any contact on this one. And not much of a roll either. It will dive just across midfield. Really remarkable that with all the field position they've had, the Cardinals have been held out of the end zone thus far.
Well, once again, we talked at great length about the defense of the Louisville Cardinals. Let's give the Wildcats some credit. They blocked a punt. They're on the 8-yard line. They hold them to a field goal. That's a heck of a stand.
Bill Curry hoping for some offense at some point. So far, their longest drive was the 2-play, 8-yard touchdown drive. The other drives have gone 3 and out, gain of 1, 3 and out, gain of 1, 3 plays, gain of -2, and they gained 3 yards on those 3 plays before the punt. It is, by the way, officially a new stadium record, as we suspected it might be. 59,384, about 222 above the previous record from 2 years ago in this same matchup. Otis Floyd may have lost one. Dele Ali from outside backer number 22, who may be the hardest hitter on the Wildcat defense. He made the initial hit and was joined quickly by Schellenberger.
Schellenberger is an outstanding middle linebacker, somebody with a great feel for the game. Not just a great hitter, but somebody who's very bright, calls all the signals. Great leader on this Kentucky ball club.
Graduate student, got his finance degree in hand, working on his MBA at the moment. No gain officially. Payne chased, has Green open. Every time there's an initial hit evaded by a ball carrier for the Cardinals, there's two more tacklers right there. And in this case, again, it is Schellenberger on the stop. 3rd and 7 for Payne. Huge hit after the catch by Gordon, wrapped up by Lamont Smith, who's been very active throughout this first half.
Good pressure on Payne. Payne needs to drill his balls a little bit. He's got to give his receivers a little more of a chance. You can see the pass rush here. Mark Jacobs is in his face, but the ball is lofted a little bit. He has to jump and make the catch, and he pays for it as he's absolutely whacked by Lamont Smith.
So again, Borseth will kick and probably have a great chance to pin the Wildcats deep. The field position story has been the same from the very first possession. Louisville's had it all, but has done almost nothing with it.
It's a great kick.
Sanford had raved fair catch, and they let this one slip away. Mercy. Should have been pinned at the 1, and instead it went through the hands of Courtney Dinkins, 19, and it's a touchback and a 19-yard break for Kentucky.
Inevitably, when you're on that coverage team, you want to be that guy that makes that great play and downs it at the 1. He was standing on the 1-yard line. Instead, what he should have done is rush out and just smother it on the 2 or 3. Great punt on the part of Northseth, who gets the ball downfield. Watch this. Watch the spin. Almost like a golf shot. Look, it's just rolling there. Now Dinkins, now right there, pounce on it. Instead, he tries to make the great catch at the goal line, and he pays for it. That's the ball you have to smother. Take it from a guy who snapped for punts for 4 years in the NFL. That's what you got to do.
Haskins play action chased. And then fires and is very fortunate that he found Raymond McLaurin. That could easily have been a pickoff and 6 the other way. Rice Lockett, the closest defender from outside backer, and that's the longest gain tonight by the Cats.
One of the reasons you don't throw across your body is right here. It appeared to me like you were saying that McLeod was going to pick this one off. Haskins avoids. You can see a little bit of a takedown that the official missed. Nonetheless, Haskins throws across his body. Take a look right there. Just misses batting it down. Great concentration on the part of McLaurin to bring it in, setting him up 2nd and short.
In fact, all 3 Cardinal linebackers headed surrounded. 8 yards is their best gain so far this season. 2nd and 2. Quick out by Yeast. That one's almost picked off by Tony Beckett. 3rd and 2 coming. McLaurin diving near the first down marker, tries to stretch across the 30. Should have it.
The ball just has to touch, of course, because of the touchback. And that's about exactly what they got. I was surprised, to be honest with you, on that 2nd down call that they went with the throw. Very fortunate to get that one back. He threw it behind him. I think one of the reasons they're doing that is they're trying to get some confidence. Billy Jack Haskins, the first couple of series, has no confidence, so they're trying to get some short passes so he can feel a little bit better about himself, so he can lead this team and do some different things offensively.
5th first down of the first half by the Cats. Haskins 3 of 7 through the air for just 19 yards so far. McLaurin waited in vain for a block and may lose one. McLeod up quickly.
The counter tray has not been terribly effective for either side, and a lot of the reasons because you have some linebackers that can run. Tyrus McLeod is a guy who's going to run behind the pulling guard. He's not going to be fooled. You can see he comes from the backside. McLaurin has no place to go because McLeod has snuffed the play out, and he's right in the hole.
Fought off best blocker up front for the Cats, Jonas Leaning, 295-pound, 6'8" tackle. And he played every single snap last year as hits him rather rudely at the 26 for the sack to bring up 3rd and 14. Living up to the All-America billing. Tyrus McLeod.
Ouch.
That hurt up here.
Man, oh man, if you're a quarterback, take a look at this. Here's your momentum. I'm not sure he even sees McLeod. Now he's looking downfield. Ooh, man, oh man. That's not what you want your quarterback to do. You do not want him to take those kind of shots. You want to see if he can deflect him, slide, do something. But he's somebody that, as we've documented ad nauseum throughout this broadcast, his particular job is a tenuous one. He wants to make things happen.
And incomplete, underthrown, intended for Norman Mason. Pressure came from Matt Conway, and again the Cats will have to kick it away.
Excuse me, go ahead. I was going to say that Lee Corso in the studio show made a very cogent point about the fact that defenses are usually ahead of the offenses, with the exception, of course, of Werfel and Payton. Here we have a classic case of that. Both offenses are struggling mightily to get any kind of rhythm.
You saw that little puddle of red in the sea of blue at Commonwealth Stadium. 5,000 tickets, all the Louisville fans were allotted. They snapped them up in a hurry. Record crowd of over 59,300. And they blocked the kick by Crowder. Picked up. Touchdown.
I think it was Esters again who got the block.
And it was Dinkins who just had the punt go through him into the end zone rather than downing it at the 1, who picks it up and scores to give the Cardinals a 9-7 lead.
What surprises me here is clearly Kentucky has to be in a situation where after that first block that ended up at the 8-yard line, certainly they would have made some adjustments. I mean, watch Esters. He literally takes the ball off his foot. Look at how close he is. Just takes it right off his foot. The people on the left side have to be cognizant of the fact that their punter is left-footed. They have to protect him. They did not do it there. And as you pointed out, sweet revenge for Dinkins, who had the problem before not downing the ball. Look at how he just takes it literally off of his foot. Boy, well, that's a great punt left by Louisville.
Akers with the extra point. When was the last time you saw the same man block 2 punts in the same quarter without ever having to lay out? That's what Tony Esters has done to give Louisville the lead.
Jimmy Carter might actually like to think about a political career if this is the way his punting career is going to continue at Kentucky. Take a look at just right on top of him, his Esters. And if he didn't block it, you saw right on top was Rico Williams, who might also have gotten a piece of it. Dinkins marches it in, but the special teams for Kentucky, so outstanding early in the game, now have struggled mightily. They have set up both scores for the Louisville Cardinals.
Punts, foiled punts, and big punt returns have been the story. All 17 points. Esters with 2 blocks the same way, the same type rush in the same half. A little kick picked up by Keo Sanford for the 15. You could see the coverage team's timing thrown off just enough to allow a decent return of 23 yards up to the 36-yard line. 10-7. 5:40 to go in the second quarter. The 2 block punts by Esters, leading to all 10 points. Payne is 7 of 9, just 21 yards through the air. And the big play still for Kentucky, the big 62-yard return by Wilson very early, which led to their touchdown from McLaurin.
It's interesting, you made a very astute point regarding the 2 block punts in less than 10 minutes. As a special teams player in my NFL career prior to getting to play some tight end, I blocked 2 punts in my career. And I was thought of at that time as a special teams guy. He's done it. I mean, at this rate, it's going to be unbelievable how many he might get by the end of the season.
Well, again, McLeod seeming to have an eye on the Kentucky playbook. It's almost as if he's getting the same call that the Wildcats are in the huddle, because he's there as soon as the ball is handed off to McLaurin. Loss of 1.
And you can't help but feel at least a little bit the body English of the, what would be 54,000 plus Kentucky fans saying, when is the other guy going to get in? You get kind of a feeling of that, and I'm not trying to be critical of Haskins because he hasn't had much time, but it would be an emotional lift for the team whether the guy gets in the grade or not.
Sanford, he needed the block and he got one, but he didn't quite get the first down. Guess who makes the tackle? This time running down the wideout from behind is McLeod, who shows what Cooper bills as defensive back speed.
Tyrus McLeod reminds me of something that Bear Bryant used to say about Leroy Jordan, which was, if they stay between the sidelines, Leroy will get them, is what he used to say. That certainly personifies McLeod. He's a hitter, and he enjoys it. Look at the smile on his face. Reminds me a little bit of Singletary, the way Mike Singletary used to play this game with a lot of joie de vivre. He was somebody that just loved to play football.
At the 45, 2. Sam Madison ahead of Rico Clark for the return of the fumble by McLaurin.
The collisions by the Cardinals have really been impressive. There's McLeod, who knocks him out of the way of the initial blocker, but the guy that makes the hit and strips him turns out to be Terry Rice Lockett. And that enables Clark to go the distance. You documented it, Dave, a little while ago. 41 turnovers produced by the Louisville defense last year, tops in Division 1A. Well, they did it again. They show that that's what this defense is about, a lot of hard-hitting, aggressive, opportunistic people.
So back-to-back return touchdowns by the Cardinals. The Akers extra point giving them a 10-point lead. Will Curry now staring at the 17-7 deficit with just over 4 minutes to go in the first half of the 96 opener here in Lexington. Still looking at an offense that has rarely managed even a first down. And Tim Couch, who spent the entire first quarter warming up on the sideline, then broke for a while. He's pretty much taken the second quarter off. Back at it again on the Kentucky sideline.
Well, of course, this time the difference is he has his helmet on. And you can hear segments of the crowd chanting, "We want Couch."
I think you make a good point. It's not really Haskins' fault that they're having the problems. He has had very little protection and not that many open receivers. 41 turnovers last year. Plus 21 more opportunities to score than they allowed in the turnover takeaway game last year. Spelling the second incorrect. Red East dragged ahead of the 34-yard line.
Well, that's one part of the Kentucky game that has been outstanding. Certainly their return game, both punt and kickoff, have put them in very good field position.
Courtney Dinkins, GOAT turned hero, makes the special teams tackle. And all Couch has been allowed to do so far is warm up. Still Billy Jack Haskins' game. At what point do you decide that it's just not working for Haskins and go ahead with the freshman? Just a few scattered boos heard now at Commonwealth Stadium.
Well, once again, now they're going for a 3-wide set. They're going to give Haskins a chance to get the ball down the field because they're running it.
That's a pretty good job of salvaging 3 fewer yards in the loss on the sack than he might have given up. As Ramon Bryan makes the tackle.
But it's not as if people need to understand. It's not as if Tim Couch can come in and block. He can't come in and run routes, and he can't come in and play tailback.
But he's big enough that maybe he can shuck a hit or two.
Well, that's true. Nonetheless, I would think that maybe at halftime they have to consider this.
Haskins, 6'1", 192, and Couch has him by about 40 pounds and 4 inches. Anthony White on his first carry of the evening, redshirt freshman out of Twinsburg, Ohio.
You can tell that was his first carry because that was an arm tackle. He probably should have gotten a little bit more out of that. They had the pass rushers coming upfield, had a little bit of a delayed drop. Looked like he could have had a few more yards. Louisville calling timeout. Good opportunity for them.
2 minutes and 59 seconds to go in the first half in Lexington, where the Cardinals have a 17-7 lead.
That's the face of apprehension right there. Jimmy Carter, the punter for Kentucky. I need to make the point here that blocking a punt is something where everything has to go almost absolutely perfectly for the defense. Well, it's happened twice, and once more on a near-miss situation. Jimmy Carter, watch how quickly his feet move this time. If Kentucky's not going to understand.
13 and 2 down, big pressure, catch made by White, who heads for the sideline and has a first down before he's belted by Bethel at the 45.5-yard line. 16-yard gain.
And there's a relieved young man right there. Jimmy Carter is not going to have to go out. And this is, as you pointed out, this is the biggest play offensively for Kentucky. Good play on the part of White. Watch the cut that he's going to make after he makes the catch. Clearly they just wanted to get a couple of yards, but White's going to break a tackle right here. Now watch the cut he makes to the outside. Good footwork right there. Gets to the outside and gets the first down for Kentucky. Good piece of running on the part of White.
One of the few times anybody has eluded McLeod's grasp. Haskins has time to throw, hands it up deep and just overthrows Yeast, who had single coverage with Sam Madison.
At the end of the play, Sam Madison shoved Yeast out of bounds, and those are the boos that you hear. Gave him a little elbow in the back of the helmet with a smile on his face, saying, not today.
Sub 4.4 speed for Madison, senior from Monticello, Florida. And is garnering some preseason All-America mention, deservedly so.
And in this day and age of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, quarterbacks throwing for 4,000 yards, it's not a new thing. There's a man that has a very good opportunity at the next level.
Two wideouts, 2 tight ends. White, this entire series, stood up, driven back by McLeod again. Flags everywhere. Clock stops at 2:02 in the half.
So that piece on ESPN, he's a father, right? And you have a youngster?
Newlywed and a father. All in the last few months.
37-19 over Washington
Dead ball.
State.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. The down remains 3rd.
Both with 2 timeouts remaining. It seems like this entire half has been 3rd and long for Kentucky.
It really does. And a lot of that credit, or all of the credit rather, has to go to the Louisville defense, who just have been all over the field, stifling everything that Kentucky has tried.
Ron Cooper early on had his problems with the special teams, but has since seemed to turn around.
Clock operator. Reset to 2:03.
Going to turn around to the betterment of the Cardinals, who on 3rd and 13 again hope to force Carter to kick with somewhere around 2 minutes to go.
One thing that impresses me about this Louisville team as well is that at the collegiate level, emotion is so significant. I would doubt that in the course of this 12, 13, or however many games Louisville plays, that there's ever going to be a game where that team is devoid of emotion.
Clock problems continue. It went as high as 2:08 before they wind it down again to 2:03. Another 3rd and long, 12 needed. They don't give Haskins the 3rd wideout, though. Those 2 tight ends for protection. And again, McLeod has it inside the 30.
What happened there is what's called a green dog. You have the one linebacker that comes in, and then the other one that hesitates. McLeod is actually in coverage. Watch to the left of your screen. He's waiting to see if his back comes out. He does not, and as a result, he's able to run past him and get him. Take a look in the middle. Watch McLeod. He's going to hesitate. Then he watches number 32 White, who is supposed to have him in protection, go the other way. That enables McLeod, heads up enough to see it, to shoot the gap and drop Haskins.
4th sack by the Cardinals. Total loss of 24. Carter with no pressure this time, and by far his best effort of the half. At the 24 with 1:02 to go in the half. 43 yards, so Carter can breathe a little easier.
Well, you know, we've talked at length about the fact that we believe that McLeod is going to be a Butkus finalist. If this first half is any indication, I would have to say that this is a guy. Take a look at the improvements that he has had. Now, I'm one of those people who sometimes thinks that lifting can be overrated. But you see those particular exercises, and those for you that are not lifting aficionados, the bench, of course, is the one where you lay on your back and push it up. The squat is with the legs, and the clean is the dead hang where you hold the bar at your knees and bring it up to your chest. All very impressive list, particularly that quarter of a time that he pushes off his chest.
Otis Floyd for the injured Frank Moreau, who is out for the rest of the evening.
And Dave, in a game that has been dominated by special teams and turnovers, it would appear to me that Louisville is very content just to run out this clock and take a 10-point lead into halftime.
Speaking of Moreau, he will be the first into the locker room at the half after twisting a knee. You would have thought with an injury like that to the medial lateral ligament, he would already have it in for treatment, but insisted on watching the rest of the half. At the sideline, wide open and a near diving grab by the tight end Mike Bogan. Incompletion stops the clock at 23 seconds.
Interesting call. Interesting call, because I'm saying to myself, okay, it appears that they're going to run this out. He does have him on the corner route, and he puts it there. It would have been a great catch, as you pointed out. But I find that curious only because it appeared to me that they were content to run out the clock. Now it's third down to see what they're going to do. If Kentucky can stop them here to use one of their timeouts, force them to punt, and see if they can get up a Hail Mary or something in the last 15 seconds.
It's also an unusual call just by virtue of calling a tight end number. They combined all Louisville tight ends last year for a total of 3 catches. Payne with time hangs it up to Green in the crowd and thrown away into the Kentucky bench with 17 seconds.
Once again, you're at home saying to yourself, what are you doing? What kind of calls are these? What this shows is this shows extreme confidence on the part of that man with his defense. He flat out just does not believe that Kentucky can score on his defense, even if he shanks a punt. So he wants to take some chances with his quarterback, get him a chance to have a little confidence in a semi-pressure situation.
Jeremy Bortsis had a much better half than his counterpart for the Wildcats. Good numbers. Good protection. Max Keogh Sanford inside the 20. And a step ahead to the 27-yard line, and the Wildcats, should they choose to do so, have 5 seconds still to work with in the half. 50-yard effort by Bortsis. And Sanford brings it back 7. Can't remember the last time I've seen a game so affected by special teams, and really special team breakdowns.
Well, basically every point has been set up by special teams, and of course that, I suppose that's to be expected early on, but particularly with the block punts and the 2 long returns on the part of Kentucky, you know, it's the old adage, you know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Obviously there are going to be some adjustments made at halftime.
Jack Haskins takes a quick knee as the first half runs out. 5,000 red-clad Cardinal fans are elated, and some scattered boos from 54,000 Wildcat fans. We still have yet to see Tim Couch. 17-7 Louisville at halftime. Welcome again to Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, where the Louisville Cardinals over their second consecutive win in the Interstate Governor's Cup battle. Dave Barnett again with Todd Christensen. Game completely dominated by the defenses. The 2 return touchdowns have been the key for Louisville. The 2 offenses combined have 57 offensive snaps and have totaled between them 111 yards.
Well, the thing that you called at the top was you mentioned the fact that Ron Cooper has great confidence in his defense. His defense has been outstanding. You pointed out, you're mentioning the total yardage. Kentucky is averaging barely a yard per play. And as a result of that, he's going to take some chances offensively here in the second half. Special teams, of course, have been absolutely terrific for his club. 2 block punts. That has been the big issue here in this game. There's the first one. Well, that's the one that goes in for the touchdown by Dinkins. And, of course, take a look at the fumble recovery. Rico Clark is the one that takes this one in. Reminder that it was Rice Lockett who strips him of the ball. And so even though we've talked a little bit and documented well the fact that Kentucky has struggled offensively, Louisville has not exactly been a juggernaut on the offensive side of the ball, as revealed by those statistics.
Yeah, just 68 total yards by the Cardinals, but because of 5 sacks, they have held Kentucky's rushing game to negative yardage. -2, only 45 through the air on 5 of 11 for Haskins. Each with a turnover. Of course, the Kentucky turnover led directly to points on the return you just saw by Clark. 2 block punts, both by Tony Esters for the Cardinals.
Now, Kentucky, as you recall, deferred, so they will receive in the second half. Interesting to see as to who is going to start this second half. You'll be able to judge that, I would guess, by the crowd's reactions to whether or not number 7 or number 2 comes into the game.
Kicking off for U of L will be David Akers. Deep for the Cats, we have Craig Easton, P.O. Center.
Well, one wonders that perhaps Bill Curry wanted to get Couch in when things were a little more positive on the scoreboard, and is it too tough a situation for a guy to make his college debut coming from behind at home? That may, we're just speculating, play into his decision-making process. Little indecision by Mr. Sanford, costing him any chance at a good return, and he is swung down at the 10 after a return of just 10.
Well, that's Craig Yeast's fault. He should have never told him to stay. He caught the ball 1.5 yards deep in the end zone. Yeast told him to stay. He already had his momentum going, and he was stuck. He had to go.
Well, the few things that have gone wrong for Sanford, who has 2 big punt returns, one of which set up the only Wildcat points of the evening. Again, Haskins' numbers 5 of 11. Because he's been running for his life all evening. 5 sacks, leading to negative rushing yardage for Kentucky.
I'm surprised here. I really am. I thought, given the circumstances, you hear a little bit of the rumble of the crowd. I really thought they'd go with Couch in this situation.
Option goes nowhere. Let's count the white jerseys. 5 of them surround Haskins at the 5-yard line. First to get there, Leland Taylor.
Leland Taylor, defensive tackle, and chatting with the Louisville people, they genuinely feel this is somebody who has a chance to play at the next level. Once again, what impresses me is about the pursuit of the Cardinal defense. Jimmy Johnson, when he won his 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys, was renowned for the fact that he wanted to get people that could run. This is what this Cardinal defense can do. They can run. They cover sideline to sideline.
Great team speed. Carl Powell turned Haskins right into the waiting grasp of Taylor for the sack. The 6th Louisville sack. On the ground, McLaurin leaning forward, maybe one, maybe got the 7-yard line. As has been the case all night long, the Kentucky offense faced with 3rd and long.
This is not going to do much for the 3rd down efficiency, but you're absolutely right. It seems as if they come up in this situation constantly. One of the things that I would like to see, again, not that this is my decision, is you go with Couch, go with your 3 wide receiver set, give him an opportunity to open things up a bit.
Well, as the game has gone on, the anticipation level, especially on this side of the field, the Kentucky bench side has mounted. Haskins hanging this one deep for Sanford and intercepted by Madison. Sam Madison, middle of the field, cuts back inside the 10. The Cardinals have another return touchdown. Their 3rd tonight.
Well, as we documented, Madison is the man. Responsible for 12 turnovers by himself. Haskins feels the pressure and just lofts it up, and Madison measures this one. He knows he's got it. Take a look at that. Not unlike a center fielder who says, I'm just not going to drop this ball. Cuts back against the grain, and check out the vision that he has. Goes back to the middle. Now he sees these are linemen. He knows that he's got the speed to get back to the outside on the left side and take it in for the touchdown.
Extra point by Akers just does get inside that left upright. 3 return touchdowns by the Louisville Cardinals spell a 24-7 lead early in the 3rd quarter in Lexington. First time we've seen Couch actually taking snaps along the sideline. From the starting center there, Jason Watts. Let's get an update from the sidelines from Pam Ward. Pam?
Tim Couch is warming up on the sidelines. I talked to Bill Curry as he was coming out. He said that he definitely will play Couch. He wanted to see if he could get some more protection, though, for Billy Jack Haskins. That hasn't happened. We're going to see Tim Couch.
And apparently on the next series. Has that look about him. Again, drives to the return team. This is Will Dennis who takes the knee. 6 yards back, and the college debut of Tim Couch comes right now. All-time high school national records for completions, yards, and touchdown passes. From Hyden, Kentucky, a very small program, but a very big talent. And Bill Curry can't really seem to narrow down where he thinks Couch is most talented. Obviously, the physical gifts are there, but he raves about his intelligence, his ability to catch on to the program. And I think what impressed Curry most of all was the fact that this guy who knows he's going to have a big career shows up in June to lift weights with the big guys, with the linemen, and immediately earns their respect by doing so.
Well, contrary to what you might think in this situation, yes, Louisville is a rival. Yes, this is a very good defense to go against. But you're down 17, you're in a big game, you've got the home crowd behind you. Basically, he's got nothing to lose. And the conversation that I had with John Elway talking about what's your secret in the last 2 minutes, he said, because I've got nothing to lose. We're behind anyway. So here's his opportunity.
Through the middle, and the usual result tonight, the Cardinal defense converges, and McLeod makes the initial hit. That unofficially now 9 tackles for Tyrus McLeod, who has more than lived up to his bill.
Well, if you get credit for being in the neighborhood, then it's got to be closer to 20, because that man has a nose for the ball. There's going to be a point here where the play action is absolutely nondescript. They've got to give him an opportunity, get the 3-wide package out there, let him go into a gun or whatever they have, and give him the opportunity to open things up.
Into second and 8, and Couch with the call at the line, and there might have been some movement. Leland Taylor pointing across the line at his opposite number, 56 for Kentucky. David Behringer.
You know, you talked about poise. I find that fascinating. Here he comes up basically with his first opportunity to throw the ball, and he goes right to an audible. That shows a lot of confidence.
Did that a couple days ago in practice, and Curry came over and said, how did you do that? How did you know to do that?
Ball start. Offense. That 5-yard penalty. Down remains second.
Well, it was Behringer who moved, and Couch said, Coach, it's just something Norman and I saw. We just did it on our own. I think he has his head coach a little bit in awe already.
Well, certainly from the quarterback position in this day and age, everybody who's programmed for reads and passing trees, I find it refreshing to have a young man that has that kind of spontaneity.
Basically, every play is a check with me. In other words, there are 2 options spelled out in the huddle. They come to the line, and the quarterback makes the call, one option or the other at the line. Blitz from his end zone, steps up, keeps to the 17, where it'll be third and about 3.
What was impressive to me is that I was not aware of the kind of speed that he has. You figured at 6'5", 230 pounds, you're talking about a guy who basically is a guy who's a drop back kind of guy. The blitz comes, he avoids it, good sense here, cuts upfield. He shows some pretty good speed here. And once again, they're going to have to teach him it's a combination slide and lower your shoulder there. He's somebody that is very valuable to this program. He needs to get down and do the Maury Wills thing.
Third and 3 wideouts. At the option pitch goes to McLaurin. That's the first. You heard helmet-to-helmet contact as McLaurin greeted John Fuqua, the strong safety. But McLaurin wins the matchup, and it's enough for the first.
This is evidently why I'm not an offensive coordinator. Your quarterback's 6'5", 230, thrown for 12,000 yards in high school. What do you do on 3rd and 3? Option? I don't get it, but it worked.
So few things have worked for them tonight. Finally, a call they like. Down 17, but a long way to go. Just over 11 minutes in the 3rd quarter. And Crouch's appearance really electrifying the crowd, which had gotten progressively more disgusting. Scores the official sack, averted, gets away, and throws it away.
Wow. There's the difference. You pointed out earlier to the fact that maybe the initial hits are not going to be such a problem for Couch. Billy Jack Haskins, 6'1", 190. This man, 6'5", 230. Comes in completely unblocked, so what does he do? He's able to shake off the tackle of Kendrick Golston, their leading sacker last year with 8, and throw the ball away. Even though he has yet to make a big play, he's shown a little bit of poise here in this series.
He's had an effect on the crowd. So can he have the same type of effect on his teammates? And get a little more protection, perhaps. Open receiver or two.
Audibling at the line of scrimmage again.
Guns, that one intended for Yeast, but 5 white jerseys were in the neighborhood.
Once again, though, there's a situation of miscommunication on the part of the wideout. He threw the ball right between the 2 white shirts. Yeast needs to come back to the ball. He can't sit there and expect the quarterback to deliver the ball through white shirts. Take a look to the left of your screen. Yeast needs to come back to this ball. This ball is thrown between the 2 white shirts right there. That's where he's supposed to be. Instead, he stays out beyond the hash and gives him that look like, well, what's the deal? Well, the deal is he's got to be there.
Jack Haskins watching from the sideline for the first time. As Couch surveys 3rd and 10. Very little time. He just makes the catch, needs a block, can't get it. Well, the reactions of the Cardinal defenders are just remarkable.
Ramon Bryan came out from his middle linebacker to make that tackle. And you'd have to say, impressive, nonetheless. Interesting that here's Tim Couch coming to the sidelines, getting a standing ovation for 1 first down. I tell you what, his future's got to be, his future is bright, boy.
Wait till they actually score.
Yeah. This falls under the heading, if you're a comic, this is what you call a nice room.
Burnley House tonight. Picked up by Clark. And driven down where he averted disaster originally at the 26. 48-yard kick by Jimmy Carter. 9:54 to go, 3rd quarter. .54 to go in the 3rd. 24-7 Louisville lead. They'll take over at their 26-yard line.
And if you've just arrived here, you see those 24 points, you're saying to yourself, man, they must be really effective on offense. Louisville has not scored an offensive touchdown.
With the give, and very little opens up for Donnell Gordon, junior from Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky.
Named after Reese?
Evidently so. Began his career, as we said, with the UK, averaged 6 yards per carry before transferring. A high game of 99 yards against Vanderbilt 2 years ago. And sat out the transfer year last year. The Louisville program has a history of successful transfers. Browning Nagel started at West Virginia. Otis Wilson at Syracuse. Run for similar results from Gordon. He turns it up on the sweep and crawls to the 35, where it'll be 3rd and about 2.
Good job by the offensive front of the Cardinals, particularly on the right side. Rick Nord and Matt Johnson, father of 2, do a good job of clearing the way. Basic sweep, pushing blue shirts out, cutting back against the grain. Gives Louisville a good opportunity, 3rd and very short. Because of the way the defense is playing for Louisville, this is a great time right here to go up top.
They're basically a sideline seminar that we just showed you. They got seats in the semicircle. As Gordon pushes forward and should get credit for first down yardage near the 38-yard line. They set up seats for as many defenders as can sit down and watch the work along the sideline by the assistant coaches while they're getting a breather. In this case, it's the offensive line getting the seminar down there. Very organized. And he has their full attention. It is good for a first from the 38-yard line. Jason Payne all the way quarterback for Louisville. We have not seen Parade Player of the Year from 2 years ago. This catch by Montano, his first since the first quarter. Let's go down to Pam Ward for an update.
Okay, on the sideline, there's certainly renewed enthusiasm with Tim Couch in there, but right now they're concerned about Tyrus McLeod and putting an extra player on his side and making sure that he doesn't get in the way.
And they're also concerned because they had the backup middle linebacker, Miguel Vieira, just carted off with an injury. He is the backup to Schellenberger. And we'll get an update on his condition. Second and less than one. Leading his way for another first is Gordon.
The offensive line for Louisville evidently had a long conversation at halftime because they have certainly been more assertive here in this particular drive. 2 first downs, as we documented in the first half. Louisville, too, with their struggles on the offensive side of the ball.
We focused on Couch so much, but what Couch is to the Kentucky program, Redmond, in a way, is to Louisville. The difference is there's not quite the pressure because they're not coming off consecutive losing seasons. There's not quite the savior tag that Couch carries. So far, as we said, Payne all the way. Gordon dragged down as he reaches Wildcat territory, 49-yard line. Jeff Tanner made the tackle.
Well, I think the other thing, too, that's certainly an advantage for Payne is knowing that even if you foul up, you've got a defense that's, at this point, resembling the steel curtain of the 70s. I mean, they just, you know, he knows that he's not somebody that the entire onus of the success of the team is on his shoulders.
Redmond played at Louisville Male High School, led them to a state title as a junior and an 11-1 record as a senior. And then his travels began. He originally signed with Illinois. Gordon bounces off the first hit, then scored back at his own 48-yard line. Redmond left Louisville, as we said, expecting to join the Illini, but when assistant coach Greg Landry was fired, that ended his thoughts of going to Illinois. He briefly committed to Oklahoma because Howard Schnellenberger had, by that point, left U of L and headed to OU, and then reconsidered again and decided to become a third-generation Card. His grandfather and his father, Bob, both played at Louisville. Bob played for ESPN's own Lee Corso, in fact, at the U of L.
And that's why I find that entertaining, because I would have thought third generation he'd been a lot for this year.
3rd and 10. Pressure by Mark Jacobs forces the quick incompletion.
Unfortunately for him in that situation, Donnell Gordon was close enough so that the official looked up and saw that it was not intentional grounding, even though it was clear that Payne was throwing that ball away.
And on again comes Forsyth, who has had a heck of a night, almost 48 yards per kick.
You know what, I called him Norseth earlier because his backup quarterback, I remember, I think for the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken. Tough name to say, but he's having a good night. He's made some great kicks.
Sophomore from Green Bay.
Nice kicking.
Hangs up another beauty. Sanford lets it go into the end zone.
Great bluff on the part of Sanford. Had all of those Louisville Cardinals in front of him.
52-yard effort by Forsyth. Trailing 24-7. 3 wideouts, but they run the option again. And the pitch goes to Raymond McLaurin. Ridden out of bounds, and the Cat fans want a late hit to be called, but it will not. At the 24-yard line.
One thing that I do like that Kentucky is doing here, Dave, is that they have gone with a 3 wide receiver set. I think that's where he's most comfortable. You showed that high school footage. Basically, the kind of offense that he ran was a Florida State offense, i.e. he's in the gun a lot, moves around, gets to see the field. I like the fact that they've at least put out 3 wides for him to take the opportunity to throw.
McLaurin gets 5, 2nd and 5. Once again, 3 wideouts. And the straight drop for Sanford. And a first down, driven out by Madison at the 36 and a gain of 11 yards.
Got the hook route. Watch to the left of your screen. because he gets the 5-step drop. He's looking at where he's going, settles down. A good route on the part of Sanford. He cuts outside right in front of Madison for the first down. Once again, I reinforce the fact that those are the kind of throws that get a quarterback some confidence. Don't have him come in throwing posts and corners. Get him something underneath so he can get a rhythm of the game and feel comfortable, get confident.
This Louisville defense has been so aggressive. You got to do something to get them back on their heels. Maybe the other team start. For a loss back at the 35, and it should be 2nd down and 11.
You might ask yourself at home, why are they running the ball? It's been very ineffective. The reason for this is that they just do not want to allow Louisville at this point to just pin their ears back and come every play. They want to at least keep them a little bit off balance.
But even on the run, Todd, they're pretty much pinning their ears back. Couch just does avoid the delayed game penalty. He gets the timeout called, I think, before the clock went down to 0.
UK Athletics Department would like to thank its official corporate partners.
Good ball. Play game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Down remains 2nd.
Nope, didn't get the timeout called in time. It was already 0. So it'll cost him 5.
One of the things they have to be doing here is the point that you made regarding the fact that they have a package and he can audible at the line of scrimmage. This is a freshman. This is his first game. This is a point where the offensive coordinator and the cognoscenti there with Kentucky have to say, no, no, no. Go up to the line of scrimmage, call the play. It's asking an awful lot of a young man in his first varsity game against a defense of this magnitude to audible.
Sanford out of the tackle. Always reinforcements there. Really a great job of swarming tonight. If the first Cardinal hasn't gotten him, there's been somebody right there to make up for it, and it's John Fuqua this time.
Interesting that the defensive backs of the Cardinals, they refer to themselves as the mob squad. Those of you that are older enough appreciate that reference point. Couch tries to look people off, but he throws the receiver Sanford, and he gets right in the middle of that mob squad. A lot of the people there in Louisville, some of the coaches say, hey, don't be messing with the nicknames just yet. Do something. Well, tonight, I think they might have earned their moniker.
Yeah, the secondary's name fits. The one the coaches are a little bit concerned about was given by Leland Taylor to the defensive line, Death Row. This is his first game as a Cardinal. They want to see some skins on the wall first. Intended for Mason.
Once again, Tyrus McLeod in on the coverage. So many times the middle linebacker now becomes a specialty person. He's the guy that's in on running plays, and then when it comes 3rd long, he comes out. Tyrus McLeod from the Dick Butkus and Mike Singletary school, he stays in on passing downs, does a great job of watching the eyes of the young quarterback, gets into the hook zone and bats it away. This man's having an outstanding game.
Somewhere around double figures in tackles. He's had a couple of those deflections. His anticipation is really what's that's what's led to all the big statistics. Heavy pressure, and Carter gets off one of his better efforts in the night. He goes nowhere. 34 in the air, return of 1. Gordon driven back for a loss as the Kentucky defense starts to stand up. That one overthrown, intended for Gordon. Well covered, and Payne ends up with face full of grass, and it'll be 3rd and 11.
Now, you know, if the score wasn't 24-7, we could be talking about the same thing with regards to Redmond and Payne here. This young man has not had what you'd call a stellar evening, but thanks to his defense and special teams, the onus of success has not fallen upon his shoulders. He's been able to do what he's doing, and that's basically not make mistakes up to this point.
8 for 14, 30 yards. There's Redmond, has stood at the ready, but has yet to get into the game. Four wideouts. 3rd and 11, and good protection. Delivers to Montano, but he's driven back well shy of the mark for the first down. The hit applied by 29, Tony Woods.
Stopping it was number 29, Tony Woods.
What kind of confidence do you have in your defense here, up 17 on your own 44? You've got 4th and 1.
Pretty good confidence. They're going to go for it.
Wow. Wow.
Big hit by Woods. Ron Cooper keeps Payne out there, and maybe all they want to do is try and draw him off sides, but they're going to come to the line at least looking like they need this.
But once again, if indeed they go through with it, what extreme confidence they have in their defense.
It's to Gordon. And stopped for a loss of 2. As the Cat defense takes umbrage at the apparent lack of respect.
Well, it remains to be seen as to whether or not Ron Cooper will be second guessed, say at 10:30 tonight Eastern or tomorrow morning in the paper. But I have to say that that's a bold stroke, and that would have gone a long way towards the confidence of the offense if they get it. But instead, the Kentucky defense, as you pointed out, rises to the occasion, forcing him back. And there is a mob of blue shirts that drop him. Kentucky now with an excellent opportunity at the 43-yard line of Louisville.
It's been the Cardinals who have won the field position game because of their special teams all night long, and finally the Cards turn it over in their end of the field. Couch has to call a timeout.
Ouch.
Couch had to call that timeout because his right guard, DeAnthony Honaker, was not on the field in time to take part in the play. Let's go down to Pam Ward on the sideline.
Renewed enthusiasm in the stands also for every player for Kentucky. The last series when Tim Couch came out, the first guy to greet him was none other than Billy Jack Haskins, who came over, gave him a pat on the back and some encouragement. Bill Curry said he liked Haskins. Now we know why. Dave?
They do seem to have a real constructive relationship. They both make no bones about the fact that they want to start. They want most of the plays this year. But it's a friendly rivalry, as it should be among teammates. Incomplete, in and out of the hands of the true freshman Quentin McCord.
Quentin McCord is somebody that Coach Curry was very high on, talking about his blazing 4.4 speed and some of the things that he had done that a true freshman does not. Well, in that case, that's something that a true freshman does do from time to time, is drop the ball. Something that should be pointed out here with regards to Tim Couch is that you talked about it numerous times, that he is the guy that is the savior. Don't forget that the wide receiving core for Kentucky, the leading receiver last year was Yeast with only 23 catches. And so it's not as if this is a team that's used to throwing the ball 35, 40 times a game.
Averaged 126 passing yards last year. There's not enough in today's college game. Couch sacked at midfield. Leland Taylor, the transfer from Tennessee.
It's one thing to talk the talk, and it's another thing to walk the walk, to use that particular street colloquialism. Leland Taylor is the one who said, if that young kid gets in the game, we're going to knock him on his butt. Well, people are saying that all the time and giving the big talk, but Leland Taylor backs it up. He has been an absolute terror on the defensive front for Louisville this evening.
At 310, he's got 40 pounds on the man, Behringer, in this case, trying to block him. Undersized front unit for Kentucky has been overpowered today. They have 9 freshmen or sophomores in their 10-man offensive line, too deep, and they're showing that inexperience. Couch again avoids trouble and finds Anthony White up the sideline. Young man with a chance. It's Bethel. White has the touchdown.
There's a flag at midfield, though. There's a flag.
So the whole thing may come back. Where it was thrown, you wonder if it's going to come back on holding.
Well, here's the situation. It's an illegal man downfield, and in fairness to the offensive line, your quarterback is scrambling. He breaks contain. So you as the guard are saying, are you running? Are you staying? Are you running? Are you staying? And so you head upfield trying to get somebody to hit, and then all of a sudden the ball whistles past your shoulder, and you go, oh, nuts. I should have stayed. Well, that's a tough situation. Kind of a catch-22 if you're an offensive lineman.
Ineligible downfield on the offense. 5-yard penalty, previous spot. Repeat, third down.
Now as he breaks contain, now he rolls out. Take a look at the people in front of him. All you can see there are Lyman, and of course he takes a shot by McLeod before he delivers the ball to White, and once again he picks up a block from McCord that enables him to go the distance. But as we say, because of Couch's spontaneity, one of the offensive linemen a little bit too anxious. Look at the poise. Once again, I'm impressed by the fact that at 6'5", 230 pounds, very mobile.
You just don't get that kind of mobility, that kind of physical package very often. Complete, thrown a little bit behind Norman Mason.
Again, still excellent ability to move forward and throw the ball. But before we get too carried away with the quarterback, let's also point out the amazing confidence in this defense. They started this drive on the 43-yard line, and as a result of a sack and a penalty, they actually lost 12 yards on that particular drive. So once again, the Louisville defense after this game probably will be #1 in the NCAA again.
Cooper wins that particular gamble, as Mason can't quite reach back enough to get it. Now 4th and 22. Carter will kick yet again. And the Cards play for the return. Fumbled at the 20.
Well, initially it appeared that Louisville had it, but I think it might have popped loose again.
They say they have it. I can't say they have it. And the Wildcats will take over at the Cardinal 20. At last, their special teams force the turnover.
Jeff Snedeker is the man with the recovery. And take a look. There's nobody here who hits him. Really, he cuts up the field, and right there, that's a great strip. Somebody who has been outstanding today hitting on special teams. Tony Woods is the man who strips the ball. Initially, it appeared that Dinkins had the recovery, but Snedeker fought him in the bottom of the pile and was able to strip it and get it back.
Well, the first time it's not Clark dropping back, but Montano, it turns into disaster potentially. Couch from the 20, first down. Touchdown.
What a throw! What a throw! It's the old fake boot play where you roll to your left and come back and throw to the right. Not only do you have to have a good arm, but you've got to have touch to throw that out and up route.
Got to remember that one for a while, you figure. Johnson to add the extra point. Haskins in the hold, and the kick is good to end the third quarter with a major momentum change.
And take a look at Couch here as he rolls to his left. He's going to have somebody in his face, and he's going to get hit just as he delivers the ball. There he takes the shot. Look at the tight spiral, right on the money. Kentucky back in this game with a stanza remaining.
Tim Couch threw dozens and dozens of touchdowns at Leslie County High School. His first as a Kentucky Wildcat goes into the books, and well worth another look. Perfectly over the outstretched hand of Rico Clark, over the shoulder catch by Curtis, and you see the reaction.
It's interesting. Evidently, that one's a little more important to him than the 100+ that he had in his 4-year career there at Hayden, Kentucky. And you made a very salient point at the break. The way he is playing, and we're assuming will continue to play in the fourth quarter, maybe the whole concept of a quarterback controversy is long gone.
Tobin Anderson's kick out of bounds, and we'll come to the 35. Well, you wonder that. I mean, Curry naturally is going to show some loyalty to Haskins, but if Couch continues to perform and ignite his teammates,
place at the 35-yard line, first down,
and the crowd the way he has right now, if he continues to bring them back in this game, you wonder if whatever controversy there was might end before it really gets a chance to begin.
Well, one thing here is that clearly he is getting a rhythm. He's feeling a lot more confident after that first drive. But Tobin Anderson made a big mistake here, because now a lot of the momentum that they had was taken away by the kick out of bounds. Louisville in excellent field position now at the 35.
Mason makes the ball to the line, gives to Otis Ford, and he's dragged down by a newly enthused Kentucky defense. The tackle by Schellenberger, the middle backer. Green barely past the original line of scrimmage, hit there by Van Hiles. Get a report from Van Hiles.
And the sideline continuing to erupt now. We see it in the defense as well. And after the touchdown pass, as you might expect, everybody in blue just went absolutely crazy. And a big hug for Isaac Curtis. Tim Couch, his first, just a historical moment for him, and he knows it.
It's just too bad that Isaac couldn't do like his dad and punctuate it with that over-the-shoulder spike he made famous.
That's a beauty. I love that one. Now the pressure falls on this man right here. Louisville came out 2 plays in 1 yard. The way Couch is throwing, you certainly don't want to go 3 and out here.
Otis Floyd for the first down.
This is the very play that we have been talking about earlier. Twice he had his back out of the backfield, and because of the deep drops of the strong safety and the backers dumping the ball to the man on the flat and giving him a chance to run is something they should have tried earlier. Here you can see he gets great protection, rolls out, breaks out of the contain, finds in the flat. You can see the people that have to come up there, the strong safety and corner to make the tackle, but long after he had the first down.
That's load coming at you, 210 pounds at a 4.3 speed. Otis Floyd brings to the party.
4.3, really?
That's what they say.
To me, that's cat speed. I mean, I can't understand that.
At that size, really.
Well, that too. Wow.
One of the bigger plays by the Cardinal offense tonight. Simple the crowd down a little bit. Manual time. Same play this time for Ivan Green, and another first down as he spins inside the Wildcat 40.
Great play action fake on the part of Jason Payne. I think everybody assumed after the first down that they're just going to run it in again because that had been the MO up to this point. Payne with a good play action fake. Once again lofts the ball and gets away with it, but Green makes a nice catch. Good run after the catch to set them up now at the 37-yard line and take the crowd out of this game a little bit.
Bragging rights, a leg up in recruiting. All on the line, the 3rd consecutive year after a 70-year layoff in Kentucky. And likes it outside, runs too off into the wild, intercepted.
What a catch!
Van Hiles with a tremendous catch to give it back to Couch and the offense.
This is a great job by the officials, and let me explain to you why. So many times you see in games, you'll see a wide receiver jump over the defender, make a catch, and they won't call interference. Every time a defender does it, it's called interference. In this case, Hiles with a tremendous play to set them up at the 32.
And Anthony White with a pickup of 7 on first down. Couch running the option. The pitch went to White at a gain of around 8 yards on first down. Kentucky averaging between 1 and 2 yards most of the night on their first downs.
This is a good opportunity for Tim Couch to hustle up to the line of scrimmage. They've got Louisville back on their heels. An interception when they hadn't counted on it. Trying to get them back a little bit, get up to the line of scrimmage, get the first downs, expedite the process.
The 2 tight ends. Couch hanging one up deep. And overthrows McCord, who was blanketed all the way up the side by Sam Madison.
What I mentioned with regards to Hiles, take a look to the right of your screen. Watch the pick that he makes. He comes over, see, he comes over the back of the receiver. Now, how many times have you seen him? Montano tries to fight it away, but Hiles is persistent. How many times have you seen that happen when a defender, if it's not intercepted, they call pass interference? In this case, the Big Ten officials, very cognizant of the fact that he's going for the ball. They let it go. Great non-call.
Option keeper, Couch does not quite get the first. And an interesting decision now for Curry because they'll be about 2 feet short on 4th down.
Well, everybody is certainly motivated here to move it, and based on the way they've been punting the football, why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
I think this, too, shows the fact that Bill Curry has to have a lot of confidence in his defense because Louisville has not dented the end zone with their offense.
So in 2.5 quarters with Haskins, 41 yards. Couch in less than 1 quarter was 52 total yards. He goes for it with the sneak.
It appears that the side judge here has given him a pretty generous spot. That's a good call. Once again, you got to say 6'5", 230. You'd think he could lean forward, but again, you've got Tyrus McLeod, who is an absolute stud hole middle backer, who knew exactly what was coming.
Now this doesn't even look close enough to measure.
It doesn't. You know, the side judge closest to us appeared that he was out there at about the 47.5. Instead, they opted for the other measurement, and you're right. I think they're going to be short.
They'll bring the chain out anyway. Just to demonstrate to the crowd. Yep, couple of feet shy.
And that red section that you mentioned, 5,000 strong, all of a sudden the pom-poms come up and a little section of the stadium is very excited. You can't second guess that man, though, particularly in light of the fact that the offense was going and the defense, as we pointed out, has shut out Louisville here in the second half. Take a look at McLeod. There's the man who knifes in there. Along with his compatriots, they stop Kentucky cold.
Stadium in Lexington. Dave Barnett, Todd Christensen, Pam Wood. 11:55 to go. Fourth quarter. You can't see the game anymore. Overtime. Cardinals after the defensive stand. See Payne keep for first and more. Jason Payne is inside the 10-yard line. First and goal, Louisville.
Kentucky opts to go with a blitz in that situation, and they pay for it. They lose contain. Payne gets outside, gets a great block downfield by wide receiver Bates. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. You're going to see the blitz. Here comes from the inside. Now he breaks contain, and there's nobody there. The blitz on the part of Ali. And take a look at Bates's block right here to get him some extra yardage. There he is. Out of bounds here, right at the 10-yard line. And all of a sudden, 54,000 faithful act as if they have laryngitis.
That's 32 yards on the keeper by Payne. That's their largest gain from scrimmage tonight.
By a long way.
Pitch to Floyd. Turn back inside. And down to maybe inside the city line.
Good piece of defense there by Ali. He's the one that lost contain on the last play. This time he takes on the block, forces the play inside. Good play by Ali, number 22. This man, Ron Cooper, it goes without saying that they want to get a touchdown, but they know here if they kick a field goal, they can still be beaten with 2 scores. A touchdown here might not be lights out, but it certainly would put a crimp in Kentucky's plans.
We'll see how aggressive the call is here on second from the 6-yard line, goal to go. Offset eye. Payne still with it. Waylaid at the 5. Theo Wilson comes up from free safety for the hit.
That play has to go a little bit quicker. Payne holds the ball far too long. Here's the great fake. Okay, now turn and you throw the ball to the fullback. Now. Instead he drifts out, and once again with the lob toss, that soft toss enables the defenders to come up and make the hit. Absolute whack on that fullback. Good hit by Wilson.
That little delay gave Wilson 2 extra strides toward the ball. Exactly right. So third and goal for the 4.
I love the quarterback draw here.
Payne, and swarmed at the run just when he needed to just lean forward and extend the ball past the goal line. He's surrounded by blue, all 3 linebackers.
Well, this is no brainer here. Clearly they're going to go for it because even if they don't get it, that forces Couch and company to go 99 yards. So there really isn't a decision here with regards to Louisville. Take a look at the delay underneath. Payne does a good job looking to his left. Now he gets the ball in here. You would have thought that Floyd's strong enough just to lean forward, but Schellenberger and Ali do a great job of pushing him away from the goal line. He's not there. He's not there. He doesn't see it. Good call by the official.
some personnel changes for Kentucky. The Cardinals came to the line ready to go, and the officials blew the whistle and said, no, we're not ready for you today. Wilson's come out. Tremaine Martin, his backup is in, and Ben Bird, an extra lineman, is in.
I was about to say here, because of the way they're bunched up and because the play action, at least wide, has been so effective, if they were to bootleg here, I think Payne could block it.
From inside the 1, Floyd leaps, flips, scores.
All they needed was a stalemate of the offensive line, and the right side was able to get that. Floyd showing the vertical leap, but give credit to the Cardinal offensive line there.
Look at that lead blocker. That's Leland Taylor, normally defensive tackle, 56. He comes in with his 310 pounds, and Floyd's in. Little two-way action by Ron Cooper. Akers for the extra point, and the Cardinal showiness wraps it up with 9 minutes and 39 seconds. They have their largest lead on the score by Otis Floyd up and over the top. Murray and Ron Cooper head-to-head, and Cooper has won many of his gambles. He's been much more willing to gamble tonight. That's more toward his personality than has Bill Curry, and that attempt on 4th and goal. Something I think he had been looking for all night, the chance to sneak Leland Taylor in as his blocking back.
Go, David. It's good.
As the beat kicks all the way through. He waited until the exact right moment to get Taylor in and clear the way again for Floyd.
Well, I don't. This, as I pointed out, may not have been that big of a gamble, but take a look at the block by Taylor. He stands up Schellenberger, their big hitter, and he gets up and gets a piece, but not enough to stop the momentum of Floyd, who gets into the end zone. So, you know, even though that appears to be a little bit of a gamble, that's something that as a team, I promise you, they'll go back in the film room and say, boy, we really sucked it up 4th and 1. Never mind the fact that we were up by whatever we were up by at the time, but still, that does allow for the offensive linemen and their confidence to come through on 4th down.
Couch has clipped for a touchdown last time Kentucky had the ball. Appeared to bobble it as he neared the 40, but it's a first down at the 38. Rice Lockett on the tackle. 31-14, 2 block punts by Tony Esters, leading to 10 points for Louisville in the first half. Fumble return by Rico Clark for 7. Interception return by Sam Madison for 7. Couch had it going for Kentucky, although the statistics don't really sparkle. They don't tell the story of the effect he's had this year.
Well, he's now 5 for 11 for 50 for Jack this time.
A lot of options for him. Right, bobbles. It's over the initial tackle attempt by Fuqua and driven out near the 40.
This is in no way meant to be critical, but I have to point out here, now down 17 with basically 9 minutes remaining in the game, this I don't understand. If you're going to get back in the game, you need to throw the ball, and this can do the only thing this can do is help this young man to give him the chance to fade back and throw now every down, and they have an outside shot at getting back in the game. So it serves a twofold purpose to let this man throw, not be running auctions or handing off at this point.
Passing down on 2nd and 9, and the passing set. East right with Fuller left. Couch for East. He gunned it right into his midsection, and he couldn't hang on.
And that's a great throw. He takes the drop back, looks left, gets the free safety out of the middle, and delivers the ball to East. And even though that would have been a difficult catch, certainly that's very catchable. You're right. There's the ball right there. Pretty good coverage. Good coverage on the part of Madison, but still, as you pointed out, I think that's one that could have been caught.
And Madison limping toward the sideline. He has been every bit as billed today, too. Preseason All-America. He moved to within 5 of the all-time interception lead in Louisville football history tonight. 3rd and 9 for Couch. East hangs on this time and then separated by Bethel, and it's an incompletion. Rice Lockett ready to jump on it after the huge hit by Bethel.
Curious throw there. Even if he catches the ball, it's certainly not going to be a first down. You're right. Bethel came out and just pulverized him. The official on top of it, that's not a fumble. It's an incompletion.
Addison getting some attention. Cooper says his secondary has the proper combination of cockiness and amnesia. You got to have both, don't you?
You do.
The belief that if you're beaten, it never really happened, and certainly it's not going to happen again to you. Rico Clark has had a big night. Flags as Clark is dropped at the 18.
Well, actually, he clips the man into him. Lamont Smith makes the tackle. He gets clipped into the tackle, and so they'll tack on the penalty to the loss.
David Whitvogt signaling the illegal block.
During the run back, pushing the back by the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal line, first down.
Coach Ron Cooper mentioned to us yesterday that he very much thought that this would also be an opportunity for his young quarterback to get in the game, that we might see him at some point. This certainly would be a good opportunity for him, 31-14.
Well, we are going to be treated to the side of Chris Redmond. Good call, Mr. Christensen. In sync with the thoughts of the head coach.
And you thought Chris Berman was the Swami. He is. He's the Swami.
Chris Redmond, redshirt freshman, hometown hero, who garnered the same award nationally 2 years ago that Couch won last year. Parade Player of the Year, 6'3", 208. National record of 57 touchdown passes his senior year, 1994.
But his cadence is different than Jason Payne's, as we saw right there. Very first play, both the left tackle and left guard on the counter trade trying to pull a little bit early, anticipating a different rhythm.
Steve Macetic, weak side tackle, appeared to be the guilty party.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. Half the distance to the goal line.
Here's the comparison, and the numbers are just mind-boggling. For 1 year, 42 touchdowns, only 17 interceptions last year for Couch, and Redmond, as we said, with the record 57 touchdowns and only 15 interceptions 2 years ago.
Those are the kind of numbers that you see either in 8-man football or arena football. I mean, really, those boggle the mind.
Or for a career.
Yeah, right.
Not just the season.
Exactly.
There is certainly less pressure on Redmond than there is on Couch.
Please, 8-4-4.
1 more second to be added to the clock. Redmond, after all, comes to a team that had a winning record last year. And the line of succession at quarterback clearly pointing toward Jason Payne, who's been good enough to get the W here so far. Gordon on the carry. Redmond off the play action. Incomplete. Intended for Gary Crowley, the tight end. Pats were hoping that was a catch and a fumble, but he never had possession. Crowley, a converted linebacker.
Good play action fake by Redmond, but once again, trying to get the ball to the tight end early. Having run that play once or twice, I can tell you that if you wait too long on the crossing route, you run right into the linebacker, and that's the result.
Chris Redmond looks a lot like Jason Payne. They could be brothers. Just an amazing resemblance, but that's where the resemblance ends. Redmond, according to his coach, is the All-American boy. Jason Payne, the alternative boy.
That explains the newspaper headlines that referred to it as a sibling rivalry.
Good job.
Big hit delivered by George Massey, 97. The backup to Jacobs at defensive tackle to drive Gordon back. It'll be a fourth and officially about 10.5.
Sanford has been quiet here in the second half after those 2 dazzling punt returns that he had in the first quarter. Sanford, of course, soon to be the all-time leader in kick returns in the SEC.
That's a dubious record, you know, because that means you're returning kicks all night long.
I agree.
You would much rather not have the honor. play clock down to 1. Borseth just does get that snap in time, and it's off the side of his foot, and the Cats are going to get great field position. Bad hop for the Cardinals even.
Well, here's the situation. Clearly, Ron Cooper told his punter, take all the time off the clock that you could. And he showed a lot of poise in doing that, but the problem with that is that it messes with the rhythm of the punter. And as a result of messing with the rhythm of the punter, he has a terrible punt that's going to be inside the 35 when we return.
Only a 24-yard kick by Borseth. 33-yard line is where the Cats take over. An update quickly from Pam Ward.
And for good news, actually, this time for Louisville, as Sam Madison, the cornerback, just went out. We saw him limp off the field. It was just a cramp. He's back on the field, and after having some ice, so he's okay. Miguel Rivera, though, for Louisville, it's a sprained knee, and he will not be back.
And that is Derek Logan, who gets his first collegiate carry. He's a true freshman from Chatham, Virginia, who led the state of Texas last year with 1,967 yards, playing at Marine Military Academy in Harlingen.
We should mention that Vieira is from the Kentucky side, a linebacker who will not return.
The numbers tonight in the third renewal of the Governor's Cup rivalry. They have had the top 3 crowds in Commonwealth Stadium history, which leads to an obvious question. It lasts a lot of time, and it's in and out of the hands of White, but there's going to be an interception or an interference call on Bryan, riding White's back. Interference at the 26-yard line.
Pass interference, defense, spot foul, automatic first down.
Once again, Couch showing some poise, buying time in the pocket. They opted not to go with the blitz this time, and that enabled him to move around a little bit, trying to get the ball underneath. Even though he wasn't able to get it, he does get the gift yards on the penalty. Take a look at him buying time as he moves to his left. This is really something that you can't teach. Now he tries right there. You can see clearly interference.
Outs for the side. It is caught for the first collegiate catch for Chad Spencer, another true freshman out of Franklin, Kentucky. White trying to spin for extra yardage. It's going to be close to the first down marker, about the 18. Now the obvious question, why did these two schools not play in football for 70 years? And no one seems to have a definitive answer, but you lean toward the theory that Kentucky saw itself as a program that really had nothing to gain by beating Louisville.
Well, clearly they do now, because Louisville with Ron Cooper, remember, this is a team that probably, you know, within a couple of weeks, if they continue to play the way they've been playing, will be ranked. A team that's coming off a 7-4 season. This is a good football team, particularly on defense.
32. Couch hands it up. And incomplete. Madison, as usual, blanketing his man, Kevin Coleman, of 19.
Here's something that I don't understand. Again, you know, Kentucky wants to do what they want to do in terms of offense, but this is not the guy that you throw against. This is the guy who's an All-American corner. Look at the great bump in the line of scrimmage. He turns and runs with him. He knows exactly where he's going. That's just outstanding coverage. For you defensive backs, that's exactly how you do it. You don't look until your man looks. That's the reason he's an All-American and having a great night tonight. I'm not just talking about the interception return. I'm talking about the coverage. He is just tremendous.
Obviously, we go for it on 4th and 2 with 4:52 to go, down 17 points. And they run the option again. Couch delivers the first down inside the 15.
Let me make another point with regards to Madison that you made reference to earlier. They decided we're going to blitz the young quarterback. A flag is down. They blitz the young quarterback not because there's so much going after him, but they have such great confidence in their corners that they know that they can. They know that those guys can cover man for man, and they can blitz all sorts of people. Boy, that makes their defense that much more dangerous.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense. After this to the goal line, automatic first down.
About the 5th or 6th time they've run the option with him in. I come back to the fact that at 6'5", 230, you don't think of him as an option quarterback, but there it is in the repertoire, and actually, he's run it fairly well.
He's going to outweigh about half of the guys making the tackle on him. Batted down just as it gets out of his hand by Rondell Marsh, who's had a sack and now a big deflection.
See, now the point, though, with regards to Couch, you're absolutely right. He can certainly do that. But when you've got the franchise quarterback, I'm not sure that you want to risk him running the ball. As you mentioned, Marsh has done an outstanding job rushing the passer, as have a number of the Louisville people this evening. And that's something when you bat down the pass of a man 6'5".
You know, Troy Aikman ran a few options at Oklahoma, and that's why he ended up at UCLA.
That's why he broke his leg.
Hopefully that won't happen to the Couch. Give to right, pushes the pile forward, reaches the 5, but nothing doing at that point.
Stop by the front end of the UFL line.
A little over 4 minutes to go. Louisville, an underdog by about 1.5 points coming in. On paper, they appear to have the superior team. And the big plays by their special teams have really pushed them over the top of that.
Well, in addition to the special teams, you know, the defense has just been suffocating. They have not allowed any really big plays from the offensive side of the ball, and because of the miscues of Kentucky, that's what they've needed to get back in this game, and that has not happened. All the credit, a great deal of the credit for the success tonight has to go to the defensive side of the ball for the Cardinals.
Left again. White, big helmet-to-helmet collision as he reaches to 3 and pushes forward to the 2. As Rico Clark who came up on White.
You know, with 3:15 and the clock running, you can sense a little of the irritation of the crowd. Everything that they've read about Tim Couch, once again, I think that they have to be aware of the fact that even though he is a great talent, certainly we've seen glimpses of that this evening, he doesn't play all the positions. There have been some drop balls. There's been some breakdowns in coverage. There's been some questionable play calling. It's going to take some time for this young man to develop. I certainly think he's going to be outstanding, but it's not going to happen overnight.
4th and goal from the 2. They cut into the corner and just over the outstretched hands of Norman Mason.
Once again, timing is a factor. When you don't run with the first unit in practice, a lot of times you can't have the same cohesion with the receivers that you do on the second squad. Take a look. He actually has it beat to the outside. He throws it over the correct shoulder, but he throws it just a little bit too far. If he brings that back a little bit, he has a touchdown. He did have Madison beat. Couch isn't very happy with himself. He knows that that wasn't his best throw.
That's about as close as anybody's come to beating St. Madison tonight.
That's right.
The numbers don't look that pretty, but he had a major impact when he initially entered this game. On the crowd and then on his team. But the happy folks tonight are all wearing red. All 5,000 made the 70-mile trip from Louisville. Justin West. They are poised to win the Governor's Cup for the 2nd year in a row. Payne back in for a series of quarterback. He gave it to Gordon. Louisville entered this first Conference USA race as the consensus number 2 pick behind Cincinnati. But look what happened. In the first ever Conference USA battle, Tulane, a huge upset at Cincinnati, 34-14. And tonight's Cardinal performance should stamp them as the favorite. Wonder why is it always here at Commonwealth Stadium? Well, they have about 23,000 more seats than at Cardinal Stadium, but in 2 years, the brand new Cardinal Stadium will open with 45,000 seats. It looks like a gorgeous facility, a natural grass facility, and at that point, the rivalry will at last move to Louisville.
Doesn't seem to have bothered the Cardinals too much these last 2 years. Give them credit.
Jason Payne from his own end zone for Robert Bates. All the way up to the 42-yard line.
Split the seam of the zones. Kentucky in a 2-deep zone. Bates is able to find the gap. That was the same play that they ran the very first play of the game. Those of you that have hung with us this long, the last time Payne underthrew it. This time he puts it on the money. Able to look the free safety away. And Bates able to make the catch and hold on.
And the Wildcats signal their final timeout. With 2:25 left. Payne just threw that pass and headed to the sideline. Cooper reinserts Redmond, so he used the veteran deep in his own end of the field, and now he's going to get Redmond a few more snaps in his first collegiate appearance.
Big smile on the face of Payne. Clearly this is a situation where Louisville is not content just to run the clock out. Ron Cooper is cognizant of the fact that this is a good opportunity to get the youngster some snaps and to get him some plays that are meaningful. So many times when a second-string quarterback comes into games that are blowouts and all he does is hand the ball off. Here's a good opportunity for him to really run the offense and see how he can do it with the first team.
Ron Cooper through the Lou Holtz staff. 2 years assistant head coach at Notre Dame for Holtz, and 2 years head coach Eastern Michigan. Second year at Louisville. Looks to be a very promising addition that he's got with him this year. Hoping for the third straight winning season. The last time they won 4 consecutive, which they will do tonight. They won the last 3 last year. Been a while, many years. That one intended for Bates, but incomplete. Otis Floyd with a first down to the 44. Boyd tripped him up. Louisville gunning for 4 consecutive winning seasons. Last time that happened, 1969-72, when Lee Corso was the head man. And the schedule next week and the week after gets very challenging. They're at Penn State and then home to Baylor for their home opener September 14th, then at Michigan State, which was a runaway winner over Purdue this afternoon. Southern Miss on the 28th of September.
Now Southern Miss, which before you might have thought of, okay, that's an easy win. Now after the big upset over Georgia, that game looks a lot more formidable.
Yeah, they knew next week was tough, but now all 4 of those games look very challenging. Intended receiver pushed down, and the flag flies. It will be interference on Hiles for the intended target, Montano.
They had the hook and go going, and Van Hiles decided just to tackle him because he knew he was beat on the hook route. Why he's got his hands up and acting like, what? Come on, Van. We saw it.
Holding defense. 10-yard penalty, previous spot. Automatic first down. Come on.
Well, I don't know why he has that surprised look. I mean, that's a whale of an act. We were both sitting there when we watched it. I mean, he literally tackled the young man.
Markoff brings it up to the 34. Kentucky without timeouts. 1:46 to play. Cardinals stay through the air. Caught for another first down by Montano. Now, if you're a Kentucky fan, well, you're probably gone. But if you're still here and you're a Kentucky fan, is this rubbing it in?
I was just thinking the same thing at this point. The argument that Ron Cooper would give is the point that I had made with regards to giving the youngsters some quality snaps with the first team. You know what? I can't get in the man's head, but I'm thinking that with 1:29 and the clock running, if I'm the coach, I'm content to run it out.
Cooper, though, with other ideas and giving Chris Redmond a chance to get his first collegiate completion. Play action. Ready for it was Jacobs. Redmond still gets it off. What a play by Redmond. First and goal. Caught on that one. He looked every bit the equal of Couch as the catch is made by Ivan Green.
Great deal of poise. Great deal of poise. Mark Jacobs just cannot get him in. Look at this. I mean, he's a dead duck. Jacobs can't get him down, and you're right, at 6'3", 208 pounds, he shows some strength and delivers the ball right on the money despite the duress. Ron Cooper evidently likes what he sees.
A great flash from Redmond, who will take over, no questions asked, by no later than next year. Payne, unlike Haskins, the senior, Haskins just a junior. This give to Gordon. He's out of the tackle, and then comes Hiles to seal the deal at the 9, and we're inside the final minute. Cooper, though, like a caged tiger down there, stalking, he hopes, 7 more points.
Well, now this is interesting. You saw him earlier. He did not have the headset off. He had the headset off. He was content to let it go. Now suddenly he gets the headset back. You see Bill Curry. He's not very happy with this. I think he feels as if this is a little bit of rubbing it in.
This is going to be a big topic after the game in both locker rooms. 2nd and goal, 8-yard line. Fade pattern, deep corner, and incomplete, intended for Yusuf Ware.
Yusuf Ware, 6'6", 205 pounds. Clearly here they're trying to score it. And again, this is a day and age to where the argument is, hey, we play the whole game. I'm reminded of the story of Lou Holtz when he was at William and Mary, and Bobby Bowden was at West Virginia, and West Virginia scored at the end to win like 49-14. Holtz comes out to him and says, hey, what do you think you're doing? What do you know, how come you did that? And Bobby Bowden turned to him and he said, don't you have a hard enough time just coach the one team? You can't coach both. So what's within Bill Curry's control here is to stop the Cardinals.
3rd and goal. Bobber caught by Robert Bates. But a flag is down. Flag down with 16 seconds to go. After a pretty good juggling job by Bates, the Cardinals signaling that it's against Kentucky. Put the 6 on the board, says Ron Cooper.
Touchdown is good. Penalty is returned.
Touchdown Bates.
Here's the argument, and we've talked about it. Let me venture an opinion here. I don't like it. I just don't. I don't think there's cause to do that here with 16 seconds left in the game. I know that it gives him an opportunity. That's a tremendous catch on the part of Bates. He gets in the end zone. But you know what? I mean, there's something to be said for sportsmanship. I don't particularly care for this.
Backup extra point kicker John Hilbert lines that one through. And the final margin, barring a big return by Kentucky, is going to look pretty overpowering when you look at the nature of the first 2 games of this series. They were both close. 3-point win last year. They turned it into 38-14 1 year later. But it will definitely be a topic of controversy.
Well, this will certainly fall under the heading of no love lost.
Well, another topic, no doubt, will heat up, and that is the job pressure on Bill Curry. He's not helping himself tonight, but all summer long he said, you know, everybody asks me that, and I really and truly don't think about it, because for 30 years there's been pressure on me. I was a 20th round pick by the Green Bay Packers that were about to win 3 straight championships. I survived 10 years in the NFL, and I've had Georgia Tech pressure there, Alabama obviously pressure there, pressure throughout his 7 years at Kentucky. He just refuses to make it a factor. Akers driving this one very deep, touchback.
Interesting point with regards to Bill Curry. He played in the NFL at center, just to show you the difference in today's athlete. He played center at 230 pounds. He is somebody that, as you say, overcame an awful lot of odds to have the success that he has had at this point. I have a lot of respect for him. I like his approach to things, and his is a genuine concern for the student athlete.
And undisputed academic leadership among all the SEC football programs. Hoping they can turn that into on-the-field success this year. Not a good start for them tonight. Couch, that one's caught on the rebound by Coleman. Kevin Coleman, with 7 seconds to go, reaches the 46.
Right through the hands of the defender. Good concentration on the part of Coleman. Those are the kind that you see dropped often because the attention gets lost when you see that white shirt flash in front of you. Coleman does a great job with his concentration on the ball.
27 yards, first down Kentucky.
Party's about to begin on that side. Hardly anyone in red has left. The only jam-packed corner of this stadium is that Louisville side. All 5,000. Couch deep and 2 deep. Intended for Yeast. And time for one more snap. 3 seconds remaining.
Trying to get in the seam of the zone and then maybe get out of bounds at the 25-yard, as opposed to throwing the Hail Mary, which would have to travel some 58 or 60 yards. But he couldn't quite deliver between the defenders.
Kentucky getting ready for a trip to Cincinnati next week, and a week off, and back here against Indiana. Then they go to Florida and Alabama. Also a trip later on, close out the season at Tennessee. It's not going to get much easier at all for Bill Curry and the Wildcats.
Louisville, on the other hand, the Nittany Lions.
Now we'll play the game. Couch rolls, delivers, caught by Mason, and for the second year in a row, the Governor's Cup belongs to Ron Cooper and the Louisville Cardinals, who win it 38-14. For Todd Christensen and Pam Ward and Mike Adamley, Dave Barnett saying so long from Lexington, Kentucky.